Hello, it is Saturday, January 22nd, 2022. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to the New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It's a Saturday puzzle, and I see today it's by Daniel Okulich, the opera singer turned crossword constructor. This is the third of his puzzles. I think the third he's done, and I think maybe also the third I've solved on this channel, actually. I think he's relatively recent. Anyway, first, before we get to today's puzzle, let's thank a few people who are responsible for bringing us this edition of the Daily Solve. I would like to thank Overfull Hitbox, Stephanie Fredericks, and as always, the inestimable Hood Monster. Thank you to them, all three benefactors of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign. And if you'd like to join their ranks, become a benefactor yourself, you can do so at patreon.com/dailysolve. But you can also find information on the other tiers available to help support this channel directly. And all of them get access to all of the bonus videos that have gone up. Yesterday, I put up the most recent weekly speed solve, mini puzzle speed solve, seven recent mini puzzles. And more go up every week, and always happy to have your suggestions or recommendations about what I should be solving. And also, before we get to the main puzzle today, there was a comment that I thought was worth considering from Ask, who said, "Really like your content, but some feedback. Consider reading comments at the end of your video after you've finished the solve. You could even call it out at the start, like stick around after the puzzle for comments from yesterday's video. Great work, though. Keep it up." And I thought I might try that because I'd actually have been for a while realizing how long it takes to get to the main content of these videos, which is the Daily Solve itself. And I think I'm going to try that for a while. And we'll see how it goes. I really like the comments. I absolutely adore them. And I'm sure the viewers do too. So it's not an attempt to sort of demote the comments. I just have become very conscious of how long it takes to get to the main video. So I'm going to try doing those at the end today. I hope I don't forget because I tend to be a creature of habit. So I'll have to remind myself. Anyway, that said, I'm going to move on to today's puzzle. As I said earlier, just a moment ago, this is a Saturday puzzle constructed by Daniel Okulich. It's a themeless puzzle, so our second themeless of the week, and very possibly the most difficult solve of the week. Like I said, Daniel Okulich, relatively new constructor to the Times. This is his third puzzle. He's an opera singer, I think a Canadian opera singer, who got into crossword construction during the pandemic at the encouragement of his wife, and has pretty quickly, seemingly, turned out to be a regular at the Times. Anyway, this puzzle was edited, as always, by Will Shorts. So let's get started. Okay, underlying. I don't know, basic or, I don't know, foggy. Thanksgiving and Pride both have one. They each have a parade. So how about that? Justinian law. Don't know. This would be something Roman. Justinian law. I'm not sure. And here we have together musically. Could be, I think, a due, so two together. A due. And Mumbai wraps. Could be saris. Could be a wrap as an article of clothing rather than a dish, rather than a food preparation. Like eyebrows. Like eyebrows. What is sorry, I just glanced over at the preview of myself to look at my own eyebrows. I'm not seeing anything that's helping me. Home to the largest football stadium in Europe. I am not sure offhand. And here we have underlying. Could end in an L. Oh, Justinian law. Maybe this just means law in Latin. Why do I not know what that is off the top of my head? Very frustrating. What about this? Dark magic device with which to achieve immortality in Harry Potter. I have no idea. And are you something? That's interesting. Run, something run. Underlying. I want this to end. I'm doing this thing I did yesterday, so after a minute, I will move on. I'm burrowing down into this rabbit hole here in this one area where I should just be moving on through the puzzle and solving things, but there are a few things scratching at my brain. This underlying, I kind of want it to end with L because it's an adjective. And basil, what is it? I'm sorry, I'm sure it's very obvious to you. And that makes me think Justinian law, if it just means law, would be lex, I think. Like eyebrows. Kind of coffee made with a flask and a filter. The flask. I don't know. Boy, this is not my puzzle, is it? Foggy, person who lives on discarded food. A freegan, I think. I was thinking scavenger or something like that, but I think in modern slang, a freegan, obviously a portmanteau of vegan and free. Okay. Solvent. So solvent could mean you're not in debt. It could also mean you're, it could mean a something that dissolves something. Or I suppose it's an adjective referring to that. Like some Monty Python humor. It's surreal or dry or manic. I don't know. What is it? Depression could be a dent if it's physically something depressed into something else. A Danish tourist attraction with multiple play areas. Legoland? No, not even that. Lego World? Is there a Lego World? Gentle Giant on Game of Thrones. I have no idea. I've not seen Game of Thrones or Harry Potter. I saw some of one Harry Potter movie, but I don't think it had whatever this was in it. And I've not seen Game of Thrones. Boy, that's W, huh? Actress Philippa of Broadway's Hamilton. Oh, is it Sue? Is it Philippa Sue? That kind of sounds familiar to me, I think. Yeah, maybe it is, because these are slashes, a forward slash or a backslash. And what about this? Icy drink. Icy drink. An LR is sort of odd. Result of a compliment, typically. And ventured. Could be dared. I ventured to enter a word in this crossword finally. What about this? Oh, it's that Game of Thrones things. What? Yeah, I don't know. Desperate Housewives co-star. I've never seen Desperate Housewives. This is a disaster today, I have to say. Well done in Italy. Buono something? Like a breakup gone bad. It could be messy. Coarse flour. And over and done with. I don't know. Maybe it's not messy. What about this? Bordeaux et Bourgogne, par exemple, because it's in French, I see. Wines, I suppose. Vin. It is plural, so it does, well, plurals in French don't have to end in an S, but I suspect in this case it does, and that would at least make messy still plausible, at least. One with a big heart, question mark, so some kind of pun or wordplay going on here. And here we have tablets. Could be tablets as in doses of medicine. It could be tablets as in things you write on. And there are different types of that, of course. Could be a Scottish tablet, but probably not. Cognitive contortions, icy drink, words read with feeling, and relieve. Well, this doesn't look right. Lego World. Lego World must be wrong. Relieve. Ease, maybe. Boy, so does that make Philippa Sue wrong? I actually thought that was right, so I thought it was confirming Lego World, but I suppose not. Relieve could be ease. Danish tourist attraction. Maybe it's not Lego anything. Ugh. What a disaster this puzzle is so far. Icy drink. And chips, e.g. A snack, I suppose. How about that? And here we have speed of sound. Oh, that's Mach. So Mach 1, Mach 2, Mach 3, representing multiples, I suppose, of the speed of sound. Fated. Was it dealt, maybe, as in you're sort of dealt your hand, your fate, or here we have a hose problem, could be a kink. And what is this? Shot an air ball, say, missed. In basketball, I guess, you shot an the basketball, and it completely missed. It was air ball. Kunta Roots Roll, Kunta Kinte from the classic miniseries Roots, which I think was referenced on the Crossword within the last couple weeks in some other context. I don't remember exactly what it was. Familiar soap opera device. Not sure off the top of my head. It'll probably be easy with some more crosses. Creates, and here we have more details below. So I don't know if that actually means in the puzzle more details below, or if it's something that means more details below. Brought in. What about this? Secretly watched. That could be spy on, I suppose. Here, comical character in A Midsummer Night's Dream. Bottom is a comical character in A Midsummer Night's Dream that fits in the number of cells, so that could be it. Venue for many TV reruns. Is that a channel? Venue for many TV reruns. I'm not sure what that... Is it a channel, ABC or CBS or something? Secretly watch could be spy on. And one of the 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit in Catholicism. I don't know, piety or something? Factory could be a shop. It's often used as a sort of informal way to refer to a factory. I wonder if that's what that is. Here we have serenaded, sang to. I'm getting somewhere with this crossword, but it is spotty for me, isn't it? Scorches could be singes. There we go. Maybe this is piety. An unrivaled champion in slang. The GOAT, maybe, the greatest of all time. And the venue for many TV reruns is TBS. I suppose channel TBS must be known for reruns. Fair enough. One of the 7 gifts of Holy Spirit. I'm guessing that is indeed piety. And a man of the cloth. A padre, maybe? A father? A priest? Not sure. Let's look here. Gorilla with a job to do. A hired goon, yes. So you hired goon, a henchman, essentially. You might refer to such a person as a gorilla, derogatorily. A kind of sandwich, an ice cream sandwich, I suppose. And a smallish branch, a sect maybe, so a religious sect, maybe a small breakaway group. Exercise with Zener cards. Zener cards. Is that... Those the cards that are used to try and determine if people have ESP, extrasensory perception? I'm guessing they might be. And Abraham Lincoln, for one, was a Republican president of the United States, so REP, and cognitive contortions, mental gymnastics, this looks like to me. Boy, it's good to get a big, long, maybe not. Wait, why did I say mystery? Mental gymnastics. What was I thinking? Strange. Mental gymnastics. Okay. Yes, anyway, it's nice to get a big, long answer with plenty of crosses. And that does make messy look all the more likely. An animal skin ailment. Mange, I think. And tablets are pills. There we go. So it is the dose of medicine in this case. One with a big heart. Question mark again. I'm not sure what that's getting at. Some kind of pun or wordplay, but I'm not sure what it means. And Chalamet of Dune. Think Timothée, maybe, as his name is properly pronounced. Timothée Chalamet. Enero o febrero, por ejemplo. Por ejemplo, I suppose. I'm not any kind of Spanish expert, clearly. Those are months. Oh, I mean, it'll... the obvious parts are already in the clue. It'll just be another vowel in here. Is it O or A? Actually, not sure. One with a big heart. And here we have Scissors Palace, Anita Haircut, or Do or Die, all real places. These look like hair salons. Scissors Palace, Anita Haircut, or Do or Die, so all salon puns. And actually that came up, didn't that come up in the crossword just a day or two ago as well? And there were other business puns. I can't remember if they were also hair related in that case, if there was something else, I don't recall. But there was another business pun clue and answer in the puzzle recently. Screen rating in brief. Screen rating in brief. And there's a question mark, so some kind of pun. What does that mean? I'm not sure. Regrettably, could be alas. I mean, if it's standing in for someone saying regrettably, regrettably, this crossword is fairly difficult. Alas, this crossword is fairly difficult, you might say. So I'll put it in, but remember that I'm tentative about it. Schlump. Schlump. Is that referring to sort of a person, or is it like schlep, where you sort of drag something around? I'm actually not sure. Familiar plot soap opera device. Could it... Sorry, I said plot because I was thinking maybe the first word could be plot. Plot twist. There we go. Okay, and fated is meant. Of course. I am fated to struggle on this crossword. I'm meant to do so. Warm covering. And here we have creates. And here we have more details below. Oh, I see. C note. So in this case, it is, and it makes sense that it's not referring to another answer, because there would probably, the other clue would probably, other space on the grid would probably be highlighted if this were actually referring to another. Although maybe not. Maybe if it were as generic as more details below, they would let you solve it yourself. Anyway, C note, more details below. Straightforward enough. Warm covering. Wool, perhaps? And brought in. Reeled in, perhaps. So the in parentheses, I don't think I've explained this recently anyway. When you see a parenthetical word used in this way, it means that you can apply that same word in the same way to the answer, and it will help the clue and the answer match even more tightly. So if this is reeled, and it may or may not be, but let's say it is because it works for the purpose of this explanation, brought and reeled aren't really synonyms. I mean, they are in a very narrow sense, and that narrow sense is when you add in to both of them. So that's what that in is doing there. It's saying brought and reeled, not necessarily synonyms, but brought in and reeled in, those match very tightly. Oh, I see. One with a big heart. Valentine. I suppose Saint Valentine. Of course, a holiday, well, holiday namesake known for hearts and love and things like that. Schlump. A loner, maybe. Is that what that is? No, a loser. Of course, that seems more plausible for a word like schlump. So, creates is fashions. Someone, Daniel Okulich has fashioned this crossword, created it. And I see, screen rating in brief is SPF, sun protection factor. So that's the sunscreen rating, and that's where the little bit of pun or wordplay comes in, is that screen is actually referring in this case to sunscreen. All right, words read with feeling. I see, Braille. So the writing system that uses raised dots, so you can feel the writing itself. Words read with feeling. And interesting that there isn't a question mark there. There could be. You could easily imagine this having that bit of wordplay highlighted with a question mark, but they've chosen not to in this case, I suppose, because it's literally true enough. I'm never quite sure where the line is there. I suppose it's subjective. Hair straightening tool. Could be some kind of comb ending in this way. Lacto-blank vegetarian. I think lacto-ovo vegetarians are referring to dairy and eggs. And heartless. I was going to say cruel, but that doesn't fit, does it? Heartless. Why do I not see what this is? Very frustrating. Boo-boo. An owie or an ouchie, maybe. So this is a case where boo-boo sounds like childish language, and so most likely the answer will also be in that sort of childish mode of speech. So a boo-boo matches to an ouchie. That's how that works. Kind of coffee made with a flask and a filter. Oh, pour over. I see. What's the flask in pour over coffee? I actually don't know. I make Chemex coffee often, which it's a form of pour over, I suppose. I don't know I'm not sure. Someone will tell me probably. Let's see. Do we have anything else here that we haven't looked at recently? Oh, home to the largest football stadium in Europe. It must be Barcelona. I didn't actually know that offhand, but it's not surprising. It sort of makes sense to me that it would be. And what about this? Like eyebrows. Oh, they're arched. I should have gotten that by looking at my own eyebrows in the video preview over there. And here we have makeup of some canopies. Trees. You could have a tree canopy. And a hair straightening tool. A hot comb, perhaps, sort of like hot rolls for the other way around to not to straighten, but to curl your hair. And then that makes Horcrux, a dark magic device with which to achieve immortality in hair biter. I think I've heard that word before. I wouldn't have known that that's what it was, but fair enough. You can achieve immortality with a Horcrux. Well done in Italy. Right, I'm still not sure. Solvent. Afloat, perhaps. So I think this probably is the financial sense of solvent. So you're afloat. You're managing financially. Coarse flour, meal, as in cornmeal, sort of coarse ground corn, for instance. Like some Monty Python humor. Why do I not see what this is? Very frustrating. Depression, right, I thought that could be dent. It could be, actually. That E. Foggy, I see. A foggy mind, which is absolutely what mine feels like today, is addled. I feel quite addled solving this crossword. Maybe this really is dent. And Desperate Housewives co-star. Could be Lena or Lana or something like that. Danish tourist area with multiple play areas. Boy, it really does look like Lego something, doesn't it? Lego house? Because Lego is a Danish company, I'm pretty certain. An icy drink. A slushy. There we go. Maybe this is Lego house. Huh. Doesn't really sound like the name of a tourist attraction, but I suppose it must be. And here we have result of a compliment, typically an ego boost, perhaps. There we go. So here we have the gentle giant on Game of Thrones. Hodge? I don't know. Young hombre. Oh, Nino, a child in Spanish, of course. That took me too long. Desperate Housewives co-star. Longoria? Is it Eva Longoria? Is that the name of the actress? Certainly recognize the name. And here we have droll. Like some Monty Python humor is droll. So I said dry, and droll humor is sort of similar to dry humor. This is frustrating that I didn't see this earlier. Well done in Italy is molto bene. That's very frustrating that I didn't get that. An atmospheric prefix would be air, as in arrow, A-E-R. So that looks right. And then the gentle giant is Hodor, I suppose. Hodor. All right. And there's the puzzle. Boy, that I struggled quite a bit with this one, didn't I? I can't remember if it took me longer than yesterday's or not. Yesterday's the Friday puzzle, but I think I found this more difficult, I will say. It is a Saturday, so that's fair enough. Let me know how you fared with it. Interesting. So what gave me trouble? It was a lot of the direct references to things, and in this case, other languages. So Horcrux, Hodor, Justinian Law Lex took me longer than I wish it had. Basil, I had sort of intuited this is what this would be, and then wasn't very confident and didn't put it in for a while. What else gave me trouble? I mean, I guess molto bene and Longoria both gave me trouble. I'm especially frustrated that molto bene did, because I certainly am familiar with that phrase, so that's frustrating. There were quite a few things that I did sort of land on a bit and then doubt off and on, like dent, and I think there were a few other of those cases, but I don't remember where they all were. There were some fun answers in this puzzle, actually. Mental gymnastics was good, and I was pleased and relieved to get that one quickly. Hired Goon is fun. Barcelona is a good fact, home to the largest football stadium in Europe. It's a good thing to know. I'm glad to now know it. It's pour over, kind of coffee made with a flask and a filter. I'm not sure what the flask means. I wonder if that means what you use, the sort of kettle that you use to pour the water over it, perhaps. Yeah, maybe. Anyway, I mean, a pretty fun crossword, even though I struggled with it a great deal. Let me know how you fared. And I suppose all that said, I will not forget that it is time to move on to some clues from yesterday's puzzle. So let's do that right now. Dragon Traces explains that, so the animal that I called, that I think have often called incorrectly, apparently, a coati, is actually pronounced coati. So thank you, Dragon Traces. And also this animal is otherwise known as a coatimundi. Coatimundi is, I suppose, the full name. So good correction and further explanation. Regarding Alien, which was referred to as a video game franchise based on a film, which I found sort of surprising because I think of it very much as a film franchise. P. Patherana54 says, Alien probably refers to the video game Alien Isolation, which according to its Wikipedia article took place 15 years after the events of the original 1979 film. It's incredibly amusing that you think of it as a movie and haven't heard of the video game, because I think of it more as a video game after watching the ads for it on TV when I was younger. So, to be fair, it's not that I wasn't aware that there were Alien video games. I was, but I definitely, I suppose it's, I don't know, an age thing perhaps. I just think of it more as a film series, I suppose. I think of, and I suppose I haven't really played the video. Maybe I played one of the video games a bit, perhaps, but I've seen the original film several times. All right. Kathy Swope has some comments about Duck Duck Goose and also has an additional observation, a bit of context that I didn't know. In Minnesota, it's not Duck Duck Goose, but Duck Duck Gray Duck. And the assumption is that the rest of the U.S. is doing it incorrectly. Robert Stevenson has some explanation of slag, which came up yesterday, but also I think within the last month or so as well. Slag is a waste product from steel production, however, has other uses in agriculture. I think it came from limestone added to the smelters to remove impurities in the steel. The material created thus was called slag and was rich in trace elements, e.g. magnesium, as well as a major long-acting phosphate source when used as fertilizer, taking several years to release its plant nutrients. And it has some more information, and then some linguistic details, which are interesting. The waste from coal mining was also called slag in England, where it formed slag heaps. In Scotland, these were called bings. So that's very interesting. Kathleen Quinn has some details on shrove, a word with which she was unfamiliar. Shrove comes from the word shrive, which I suppose is why I had both of those in my mind yesterday with that answer, which means to give absolution after hearing confession. I had heard of Shrove Tuesday, the day where people go to confession to prepare themselves for Lent just before Ash Wednesday, so now that expression makes sense to me. In America, that date is more commonly referred to as Fat Tuesday or Mardi Gras. And James Draper replies to point out that Shrove Tuesday is widely celebrated here in the UK, even among non-Christians, but is probably more widely known here as Pancake Day. I believe the concept is that people would make pancakes, which more closely resemble crepes than American pancakes, and eat them with whatever food they might subsequently give up for Lent to prevent the food going to waste by spoiling over the subsequent weeks. These days, however, it's essentially just an excuse to eat pancakes because they're delicious and still not as commonly eaten here as they are in other parts of the world, although this has changed somewhat in recent decades. And yes, that's true. Here in the UK, there is Shrove Tuesday or Pancake Day, and it is, I would say in this case, it is essentially a non-religious holiday at this point, despite the religious origins. Regarding Aunt May, I think comics-derived character in yesterday's puzzle, ZOR95 points out Aunt May is Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man's aunt, and is the woman who raised him with his Uncle Ben after his parents died. Rosemary Harris portrayed her in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, Sally Field in the Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man films, and Marissa Tomei in the MCU films. So yes, I have seen at least the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. I've not seen any of those other ones. And I do remember that character. Didn't remember her name was May specifically, but I remember that Peter Parker has an aunt, and I probably should have guessed that that's who it was. But I think because the character was called Aunt May, I think I assumed after the aunt part that because that doesn't sound very superhero-y, I think I'd assumed that was from a newspaper comic like, I don't know, Annie or something like that. Is Annie even a newspaper comic? I can't remember. Anyway, you know the kind of thing I mean. And that's it. Boy, that was a lot of comments today, so actually probably even more appropriate that I saved them to the end so we didn't unduly delay the puzzle, but they were all incredibly informative and fascinating as usual. So thank you so much to everybody who's written in. And Also, I think I forgot to thank everybody who backed the Patreon campaign. I always like to thank everybody else in addition to the featured benefactors. So thank you if you've done so. And in terms of, I might put another bonus solve up on the regular channel soon. I do tend to put those mainly on the Patreon campaign to thank my patrons. But I noticed there's another New York Times cryptic crossword that's been released recently. So I may take a stab at that on the public channel since I have so few cryptic crosswords here on the main channel. But I'll have to find some time to do that. Anyway, if you liked today's video, please do subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much if you've done so. And if you're a new viewer, please do subscribe. I would very much appreciate it. And it helps the channel grow and hopefully get recommended to other people who might enjoy it as well. If you know somebody who might like it, do pass it along to them as well. Those are really the only methods we have to grow this audience. So thank you to everybody who's helped in that regard. And I will be back tomorrow for the Sunday crossword, maybe a little bit easier than this one, but also a much bigger grid, a much longer solve typically. So do come back and join me for that nice, long, leisurely Sunday morning crossword. Until then, please do have an excellent remainder of your Saturday. Take care.